So, last summer I was in Tennessee. So, about 2 weeks after I got to Tennessee, I was out on the back porch, hanging out with my ex best friend's dad. And out of nowhere, I felt something trying to take my soul. Out of nowhere, my eyes rolled to the back of my head, and I faced the sky, and I felt my chest coming up, and I felt my soul leaving my body. And all my hearing went. My head was in a complete bubble, and that lasted for, I think, about 10 seconds. And eventually, I started to hear very faintly my ex-best friend's dad calling my name. And I slowly started coming back down, and I got my hearing back, and I was numb, and I had no thought process. And the doctor said it might have been a mild form of a seizure. But I've never had a seizure before, but I know that it wasn't right, and I felt like something was trying to take my soul. So, that happened, and that's when I really started to pick up a lot of things in the South. I had quite a lot of occurrences happen when I was in the South. Starting with, I ended up making friends with this girl, and she wanted to take me to a bar she frequented. So I went to the bar with her, and it was a rap bar. All they did was play rap music, and as you know, I am not a fan. So it wasn't very enjoyable for me. But as the night went on, I remember that I went into a vision and something consumed me. I was standing there at the bar, and it came over me, and I was not myself. And I jumped up on that bar, and I could see the water on the bar. I could see the water, and I was slowly and carefully walking across the bar on the water, like Jesus would walk on the water. And I get to the end of the bar in my trance, and I just jump off, and I almost land on my feet, but I sit down, and it broke, and I got up, and I was escorted out. And then I kind of got into it with everybody, and I ended up leaving after that. But I went into a full trance and vision of me walking on water on top of the bar in a ghetto bar. And what was weird was that before, on my way to that bar, I heard a voice say, "Once you do this, there's no going back." And then that happened out of nowhere. So there was that. And then there was a time where I was working at this store, and there was a lot of stuff that happened at this store. But I was working at this store, and for 3 days, I kept hearing voices in my head saying, "Georgia, Georgia, Mel might want to go to Georgia. Mel needs to go down to Georgia." And I knew something was going to happen in Georgia, and this was going on for a few days. Well, on the third day, I was scrolling on my phone news articles, and I saw that the Georgia Guidestones had gotten blown up the day before. And I was really upset by that. So for about 2 days before that happened, I was hearing about it in my head. And then it happened, and the next day I found out on the third day. Now, the Georgia Guidestones mean something to me. Not only is it a historical landmark, but because of why it's a historical landmark. The Georgia Guidestones are stone templates that are written for remaking mankind after a cataclysmic event, written in 10 different languages. It also serves as a calendar, a clock, and a compass. And there's kind of this conspiracy about it. Nobody knows who made it. I think it was R.C. Christian, I think. But given who I am and my experience, that landmark meant something to me. And when I hear these voices saying Mel needs to go down to Georgia when I'm in Tennessee, the state above it, and it gets blown up, you know, I was pretty irritated. I was pretty irritated by that, for quite many reasons. So there was that. And there was also another day where I was working at that store, and I was stocking shelves, and I was on a ladder stocking on the top shelf. And I looked up to the sky because I knew something was going to happen. And 2 seconds later, my boss yells at me from the front of the store, "Mel, come quick!" So I haul ass outside the store out front. And I say, "What?" And he says, "Some guy just crashed on a motorcycle right down the street from us passing the store." And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me." So I go down there and to check it out, and he's banged up, bleeding. And I told my boss, I said, 2 seconds before you called me out here, I knew something was gonna happen. And he says, "What are you talking about?" And I told him a little bit about my story, and of course I got what I always do. Okay. So, I knew as soon as he passed the store, even though I didn't know anyone was out there driving by and I was inside the store, as soon as that guy on that motorcycle passed that store, I knew something was going to happen. And 2 seconds later, he crashed on his motorcycle. He'll be okay. But there was that. And so a little bit of time went on, and abortion rights got overturned. So abortion rights got overturned, and I was very angry about that. Very angry about that. And it was shortly after that that Kentucky was north of me in Tennessee. Kentucky was actually the first state to ban abortion in a state. The federal government did it, but Kentucky was the first state to ban abortion north of me. And I was enraged. And I was pretty angry. And I come home from work, and I'm angry about it, and a voice tells me that I need a cleanse. So I take a couple shots of alcohol, and then I notice it's starting to rain. So I go out on the front porch, and it's raining, and I'm dancing in this thunderstorm, raging thunderstorm, all night. I'm dancing for hours in the front yard during a raging thunderstorm. And doing my cleanse, like the witch I am. And I stopped and I went to bed. Well, I woke up that next morning to find out that all the states north of me and to the side of me had been flooded. And the West Coast, where I'm from, and all the places that I've been in since Walmart were flooded as well. California, Arizona, and Nevada. So where I was and where I'm from was flooded as well. Nowhere else. And there was that. And it was shortly after that that I played basketball in the backyard a lot and just shooting hoops. And I had made 7 hoops in a row behind my back, not looking at it. And my ex best friend caught, I think, 5 of them on camera. And it was time for me to move back because I needed to help take care of my grandma. So I gave my car away for free to a girl who was in college studying psychology. She was going to work for the military in psychology for the veterans. And her car broke down, so I gave my car away for free to her. And that caused kind of a problem. And me and my ex best friend got into an argument, and I had to leave. So that's when I went back to California